response within 4 weeks. And in a big relief for vehicle owners in Delhi NCR, no action will now be taken against diesel vehicles which are older than 10 years and petrol vehicles older than 15 years. The Supreme Court has now directed Delhi government to not act on its plea, which seeks a review of the 2018 NGT order which banned such vehicles. The court has also asked the central government for its response on the matter, which is to be submitted in the next 4 weeks. This was a raging issue with vehicle owners for the last couple of days when an earlier order refused to give petrol and diesel to vehicles which were 15 and 10 years old respectively. And now the Supreme Court has given some relief. There will not be any coercive action taken against owners of old vehicles. The Supreme Court there setting the stage for a review of age-based ban on vehicles. This after various review petitions, as well as experts suggesting that age-related ban may not be a scientific way of phasing out old vehicles and polluting vehicles. And now, Supreme Court coming to the rescue of consumers, vehicle owners. Supreme Court saying that age-related ban will now be looked at and the government may not take any coercive action for now. My colleague Brijesh Pandey joining us with more details. Brijesh, this is exactly what consumers had been asking for a while, to relook at age ban on old vehicles, and the Supreme Court seems to be now paving way for it.
Absolutely. I think it's a massive decision which has been taken by Supreme Court, which has asked the government, Delhi government and the NCR region to not take any kind of coercive action as far as 10-year-old diesel vehicle and 15-year-old petrol vehicles are concerned. They have said that they have asked the central government to file a reply in 4 weeks whether, what kind of next steps should be taken, whether there should be a fitness test of the vehicle, which should be the yardstick, or the government has come up with a blanket ban saying that, any 10-year-old vehicle, diesel vehicle or 15-year-old petrol vehicle and ban on it should continue. I think, this is one of the key observations of the Chief Justice was, which kind of indicated the mood of the Supreme Court was, when Chief Justice of India, Mr. Gavai, said that, earlier the cars used to run for 40 to 50 years. What has changed? Now, this is $1 billion question which almost every vehicle owner in the NCR region is asking. What exactly has changed? Because, you are dismissing, you are forcing the consumer to part with a 10-year-old diesel vehicle or 15-year-old petrol vehicle based only on the number of years and not about the kind of, fitness of the vehicle, which was absolutely lopsided in favor of the automotive maker. Now, this particular observation by the Supreme Court has, once again waded into that territory. I'll be extremely interested to see what the government of India has to say on this.
Absolutely. In fact, government has maintained, and so have consumer right activists, that many of these vehicles are in fact in perfect shape. They can be used for at least 5 to 10 more years going forward. But age-related ban is making it difficult for an average middle-class buyer to afford and to sustain and continue using a vehicle. For that matter, in fact, BS6 vehicles, which are newer vehicles, are more compliant, emit less pollutants, will also be phased out, some of which were rolled about 10 to 15 years ago. So I think it's going to be a big win for consumers. This is perhaps just the first step, Brijesh. Going forward, if the age-based ban, the ruling that came from NGT, is to be done away with, there are more scientific studies and a new system of looking at which vehicle is polluting and which vehicle is not comes into play. I think it's going to be a big win for consumers.
It is a big win because remember one thing which is there is that the pliability of the vehicle should only be measured on whether it is polluting or whether it is fit to run on the road or not. These are the two important yardsticks which would define the life of the vehicle. But there was a blanket ban, which is like many consumer felt was kind of literal coercion on the part of the government to come up with a law which mandates you buy a new vehicle, diesel vehicle, if you are using a diesel vehicle after every 10 years. So I think it's a very welcome step which has been taken, welcome observation I would say, which has been taken by the Supreme Court. It'll be interesting to see whether the government, what kind of reply the government files in the Supreme Court, because Delhi government, once the 15-year-old petrol rule was implemented in the state of Delhi, it led to a massive hue and cry by the people who are using a 15-year-old petrol vehicle, and that led, or rather that forced the government of Delhi to file a rejoinder as far as this particular rule is concerned.
And let's quickly take our viewers back to about a couple of weeks ago when Delhi government decided and asked petrol pump owners to not give petrol and diesel to vehicles which are 15 and 10 years old respectively. And that led to a hue and cry as well, prompted Delhi government to take back that order. And since then, the Delhi government has now approached the Supreme Court challenging the age-based rule. In fact, just a couple of days ago, the Commission for Air Quality confirmed through an RTI application that there was no independent scientific study conducted on the pollution impact of vehicles which are 10 years older for diesel and 15 years older for petrol. So there is nothing to suggest, Brijesh, that age-based banning of vehicles is actually reducing pollution.
I think, this is the most surprising part. And what is most shocking is that people who have been forced to part with their vehicles, which was otherwise in a fine running condition, based on this rule only, I think they would be feeling completely cheated by the rule, by the NGT ruling, and also by the government, who did not, deemed it fit to challenge this ruling or framing of this particular law by the NGT. Because if there's only two yardsticks through which you can measure whether the vehicle is fit to run on road, one is whether whether it passes the fitness test or not, and B, whether it passes pollution test or not. So there's no third, rule which can bar or force the vehicle to be taken off the road. But unfortunately, it was completely lopsided in one favor, and many people were forced to part with their vehicle based on this particular rule. I think it has come as a huge shot in arm as far as, people whose car have just crossed and they first tasted success, once after the hue and cry, decided that they will not stop petrol pumps to give them petrol or diesel. And I think the second big shot in arm has come today when the Supreme Court has put a stay on any kind of coercive action to be taken against these vehicle owners, and also asked the central government to file an affidavit in 4 weeks.
Absolutely. The automakers are not going to be happy about it, that's for sure. Thank you very much, Brijesh, for taking time out, for joining us on that very crucial story. It's a big win for consumers. No coercive action will be taken against you if you own a vehicle, a petrol vehicle which is older than 15 years old, a diesel vehicle which is older than 10 years old. There's an interim stay on any coercive action, but going forward, Supreme Court is now likely to relook at that 2018 NGT order. And moving on, in a sharp exchange over the ongoing Gaza conflict, Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi and the Israeli envoy to India have now issued strong worded statements reflecting the deeply polarizing global debate on the humanitarian toll of war in Gaza. Now, Priyanka Gandhi, in a post on social media, accused the Israeli state of committing genocide, alleging that over 60,000 people have now been killed in Gaza, which include more than 18,000 children. She claimed that hundreds have died of starvation, with millions more now under threat. Referring to the Indian government's silence, Priyanka Gandhi wrote, and I quote, "Enabling these crimes by silence and inaction is a crime in itself. It's shameful that the Indian government stands silent as Israel unleashes this devastation on the people of Palestine." In response, Israel's ambassador to India, Reuven Azar, dismissed the allegations as a shameful deceit. He claimed that 25,000 of those killed were Hamas terrorists and blamed the group for using civilians as human shields, preventing evacuations and seizing humanitarian aid. He also cited figures claiming that Israel has facilitated delivery of over 2 million tons of food into Gaza, and also argued that population growth in the region disapproves claims of genocide. He said, and I quote, "Don't buy Hamas's numbers." In an unprecedented and openly hostile remark, Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir has now reportedly threatened to target India with vital oil infrastructure. He specifically named Reliance Industries' Jamnagar refinery in Gujarat. According to reports, General Asim Munir made the remarks during a private dinner with Pakistani diaspora in Tampa in Florida. He also referred to social media post featuring Reliance's chairman Mukesh Ambani alongside a Quranic verse claiming that he personally authorized it during a recent standoff with India as a signal of what Pakistan might do next time. By naming Mukesh Ambani, Munir appeared to target a figure who symbolizes India's economic power and global influence. Earlier, the Pakistani army chief also reportedly repeated a nuclear threat, saying that Pakistan would use such weapons if faced with an existential threat in a future war. India's Ministry of External Affairs has hit back sharply, saying that the country will never succumb to nuclear blackmail and will take all necessary steps to safeguard its national security. The MEA said that Munir's comments only reinforce doubts about integrity of Pakistan's nuclear command in a state where military works hand in glove with terrorist groups. And Jammu and Kashmir has been bashed with continuous rainfall now, with heavy downpours lashing Jammu, Kishtwar, Rajouri, Poonch, Doda, Ramban and Samba since last night. The relentless rain has triggered landslides at several locations and created waterlogging in low-lying areas. The Jammu-Rajouri National Highway has been severely impacted, with landslides now reported in Kalidar area, disrupting traffic movement. Our ground report brings you these exclusive visuals showing how the administration is now working to clear the debris from the road, even as sudden landslides continue to occur.
जम्मू कश्मीर में लगातार बारिश हो रही है। इस वक्त मैं मौजूद हूँ सुंदरबनी इलाके में। यहाँ पे तस्वीरों में आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से लैंडस्लाइड जो है वो लगातार यहाँ पर हो रहा है, और इस लैंडस्लाइड की वजह से जो पेड़ है वो यहाँ पर गिरे हैं, और जो सुंदरबनी से कनेक्ट करता है राजौरी की तरफ वो इस वक्त बंद है। और इस समय मैं कालीदार के पास मौजूद हूँ। ये देखिए किस तरीके से लगातार जो लैंडस्लाइड है वो यहाँ पर हो रहा है। जम्मू संभाग की अगर बात की जाए तो जम्मू संभाग के अलग अलग जिलों में लगातार इसी तरीके से जो बारिश है वो यहाँ पर हो रही है। और अभी भी इस जगह पे जहाँ पे हम मौजूद है, कालीदार इलाका है, यहाँ पे लगातार ये देखिए किस तरीके से लैंडस्लाइड जो है वो यहाँ पर गिर रही है, और यहाँ पे पूरी तरीके से जो ट्रैफिक है वो यहाँ पे प्रभावित हुई है। जेसीबी की मदद से अब यहाँ पे जो रास्ता है उसको यहाँ पर क्लियर करने की जो कोशिश है वो भी यहाँ पर की जा रही है, और लोगों से भी अपील की गई है कि इस रास्ते से दूर रहे।
And in Jharkhand's Hazaribagh area, a section of the hill collapsed after heavy rains. Mud and rock came crashing down, leaving locals shocked. Eyewitnesses described the scene as terrifying. Visuals coming in there from Hazaribagh area in Jharkhand, where a section of the hill collapsed after continuous rainfall, with mud and rocks coming crashing down as locals and eyewitnesses recorded it. They described the scene as terrifying. And in a major setback for cricket fans, Bengaluru has now been dropped as a host city for Women's World Cup 2025. The Karnataka government has refused permission for matches at the iconic Chinnaswamy Stadium after a judicial probe declared the venue fundamentally unsafe for large events. The Chinnaswamy Stadium, remember, is the same venue where recent IPL related mismanagement resulted in many people getting injured, and since then a one-member judicial inquiry has declared Chinnaswamy Stadium as unsafe for large events and large crowds. And now, in a major setback for cricket fans, there will not be any Women World Cup 2025 matches in Bengaluru. My colleague Vajiullah joining us with more details. Vaji, Women's World Cup 2025 is not going to be held in Bengaluru. This after, of course, the Chinnaswamy Stadium was declared as unsafe for what happened during IPL and the victory parade.
Well, Shweta, during the RCB celebration, we've seen the death of 11 people, and since then the government has put a scrutiny over the entire stadium, and when an inspection was done of the entire stadium by the commission, it was deemed that the stadium is unfit and is not capable enough to hold large crowds that we see nowadays, keeping in mind that this happened in RCB now, and that is why the women's cricket team also will not be taking part in this thing. And we've seen the KC has expressed disappointment also over this, pointing that the stadium records successfully hosting 750 matches in nearly 15 IPL seasons without any incident. Though they have requested, but the government has so far put a hold over any matches that take place in Chinnaswamy Stadium till those arrangements and those things that have been flagged off by the commission and the benefits are clear.
Absolutely. Vajji, thank you very much for all those details. Bengaluru will now be denied of Women World Cup 2025. This, of course, on the backdrop of the IPL victory parade tragedy, which resulted in death of 11 people. More than 50 people were injured. And since then, Chinnaswamy Stadium has now been declared unsafe for mass public gathering. But that's all we have on the show. News and updates will continue on the other side. You're watching News 9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as...
Uttarakhand has been witnessing heavy continuous rainfall this season. Why did this happen? This is happening because of us, humans, and that's the fact. That whether it was an impending climate change, what should state governments be doing, sir? If we do not nurture Himalayas will not nurture us. After targeting India on its alleged high tariffs, New Delhi stands firm against Trump's bullying.
1 करोड़ वोटर्स ऐड हुए थे. जो हमें मिला है वो एटम बम.
I really expect that our political party should respect for institutions which are mandated by the Constitution.
A small window of hope has opened for Nimisha Priya. You know, human beings live by hope. Is Vijay challenging Dravidian party? Payments have been made, but no books inside. If there is corruption at the BO office, maybe I want to learn Hindi, that I do not know how to speak Kannada. Go to the second part.
We don't want to have Hindi compulsion.
2 kids were asked to clean the toilet because of their caste. All these kids were forced to do it. I will clearly protest against this. 3 passes, Mr. Gowda. People rush. I'm asking you, what makes Palaniswamy so confident? We're sitting on moral boulders. Tamil Nadu seems to have become extremely unsafe.
Hi, this is Baman Irani.
Hi, this is Karishma Tanna. Hi, I'm Nushat Bharucha. Catch this conversation on News 9. Catch this conversation on News 9.
Catch me and this conversation on News 9.
Hi, this is Shahid Kapoor and catch this conversation on News 9.
Hi, this is Baman Irani.
Hi, this is Karishma Tanna. Hi, I'm Nushat Bharucha. Catch this conversation on News 9. Catch this conversation on News 9.
Catch me and this conversation on News 9.
Hi, this is Shahid Kapoor and catch this conversation on News 9.
Content is one thing. Also tell us, with what you're doing, any particular, marketing campaign or advertisement or a brand initiative that you thought hit the nail on the head with what you were trying to do? If you can tell us the story of how it happened.
Our latest launch on protein shakes.
Oh, okay.
Right. It was a product category that doesn't exist, right? It's a category that we are trying to build. We are saying that, hey, there's a protein bar, but there's also a protein shake that you can keep with yourself, and the amount of protein it gives you the same as a scoop of whey. And the idea behind this is that we are trying to push more and more spontaneous consumption of protein. So while doing the different ads, we thought, okay, people will consume it like bars, maybe have a couple of them at a time. What we realized, and this is what online allows you to do, we realized that you can buy like 24 of those together, right? And so our messaging moved around, oh, this is actually your month's protein quota and protein fix. And you could do that because you're digital, so you can keep trying different ads and different combinations, and you get to do something within a month or two that would have normally taken you a year as a legacy brand to find out.